He's coming up next with Witch's Hex, so enjoy. Okay, good luck on the run. You're alive.
Okay, want me to count down then? Because I can just get straight into this.
Yep, say what you want and count me down.
Alright, this is Odin's Leifthrasir, and no, I don't know how to pronounce that, and no one does, and if they do, if they say they do, they are lying. It is a remake of a PS2 game with improved graphics and gameplay and stable frame rate. It's divided into 5 smaller games, and we're going to play the third one, which is Mercedes, and I'm going to go in 3, 2, 1, 0. So in this one, this game is a retelling of the story of Ragnarok, and as I said, it's divided into 5 characters. Mercedes is the fairy princess. Unlike most other characters in this game, she has this ranged weapon. It kind of makes the game very different. You'll notice at the top above my health bar, at the top of my health bar, there's the POW meter. For most characters, that's for special attacks. For Mercedes, she uses it for all of her attacks. When it's empty, she needs to reload. Which kind of makes it a lot harder to juggle enemies than with other characters, but she does have a ridiculous damage output, because this thing does a lot of damage. So there's our little tutorial on just how to play as Mercedes. All the stories start with one. The game is very forgiving, so we're never going to need to take safety saves. If we do die, which hopefully won't happen, the game will just kick us right back to before we started the combat encounter we died in. So yeah, here's our first area. Mercedes' first couple levels are all forests. So right now, all we really have is our basic shot. We will get some more abilities and upgrades as the game goes on, but for right now, we're just doing this. That'll change really quickly with Mercedes. Now, I'm going to need money real fast with Mercedes because she has to make some purchases very quickly into the run. So not only am I going to pick up all the money I see, but I'm also going to pick up pretty much every item that drops so that I can sell them and hopefully keep anything useful. Because a lot of this game revolves around the potions that you might see me pick up. You can't reload on the ground, so that was a little unfortunate. So those little things you see explode out of enemy, those are called phosons. You can use them to upgrade abilities. As well as every time you pick them up, it restores health. And PP, which we can start using now, which is used for our other type of attack, such as this round shot, which we'll be using for the entirety of the game. This is just going to deal a lot more damage than what we've been using. Well, in addition to what we've been using, I should say. Anyway, so this is an item that pretty much every character wants to get. It's one of the bangles. So Mercedes' route is made pretty fast. Hi, I didn't bind this. So that's what that does. Mercedes' route kind of makes her do a lot of damage much faster. Most other characters don't get this for a few chapters in, but Mercedes gets one right on this first mini-boss. So we can just do that. Pick that up. Pick up the Cyclone it dropped. Cyclone is one of the potions that does damage effects. It's one of the less useful of that because it doesn't have a status effect associated with it, but it's still got its uses. I'll explain more about potions when we start getting to bosses and actually use them. For most normal encounters, we won't use potions because they're kind of an extremely scarce resource. So you might notice that I'm picking up the map. It's easy to get lost in these rooms because of the fact that they're completely circular. And you don't necessarily know where you've wound up at the end of things. But you can actually bring up the mouse just using the right stick. And that'll let you very quickly just check where you are without losing any time. So we're going to buy 2 more Saturn bangles. So the Saturn bangles are pretty useful. We're going to wear them until we get a better version of the same thing. I didn't mean to open that menu, but while I'm in here, I'll upgrade the cipher because I opened it by mistake. Usually we only do that when we are forced into that menu, but if I'm going to be in there anyway, I might as well. I'm also going to eat one of these mulberries because that'll get us a level after the boss. So here we have the Raging Dragon Belial. Unfortunately, I don't have any great potions to use here. Just cyclones. Usually I'd want to get a fire effect up because that'll deal extra damage if I had a volcano or a blaze or a toxin for poison. But we've got what we've got. Now, one thing this boss can do that can be very annoying is the boss, if left to its own devices, has an attack that will dive into the ground. If that happens, you just lose time. There's not much you can do about it. So here we've got another ability, first shot. The first shot I fire when firing my bow will do some additional damage. If I'm not just spamming, that's pretty useful. We're also going to get Speed Flight. Speed Flight is a very useful ability because it makes you fly faster. I think that's pretty self-explanatory why that's a good thing, but we can do this. All the other characters have a movement tech where you dodge cancel out of a jump and you move the momentum of the dodge cancel, or you jump out of a dodge cancel, one way or the other. You just and you maintain the momentum. But Mercedes actually doesn't need to do that. It doesn't work for her because she'll just start flying, but it's okay because this is faster anyway. So if I pick up an item, it's usually either because I'm going to equip it, which is very rare, I'm going to eat it, or I'm going to use it to make potions, or it is a potion. Ah, heck. Now, something you might notice about that big attack is it's still hit because it actually has its hitbox actually extends slightly behind Mercedes. So because the boss kind of dash behind, I still got the hit. So we're just gonna fly through this rest area quickly. And this one. So some of the area, unlike in the original Odin Sphere, some of the rooms aren't just battle arenas that are... The battle arenas are all complete circles. For some of this, there are actually some normal rooms that you just run through. For these rooms with lots of enemies, the best strat is to try to group them up into small groups as possible, so your bigger shots will hit as many as possible. You also have to watch out for those the flying fairies, some of them heal. Just gonna pick up some of these materials and move on. So yeah, the thing about that big shot is that it actually has a ridiculous amount of range. So something I'm going to be keeping an eye on is the minimap in the top right of the screen. That'll tell me how far away they are. If something's close enough to me, I'll be able to use a big shot to hit them. Unfortunately, I wound up on the completely wrong side of the screen. So here we have this boss again. Did you miss this boss? This is one of the only times in the entire game that you actually fight the same boss in two places in the same level. So this is a potion material, and it's pretty useful. So there, I timed that big shot, or I positioned that big shot, rather, to make sure to hit the enemy behind me, because it was going to heal. It actually did manage to heal a little bit, but it is what it is. I only need 350 gold, so I'm not going to be opening every chest. Mercedes needs a lot less gold than some other characters. Anyway, this is Oswald, one of the other playable characters. Some of the other playable characters do show up as bosses. Oswald is... normally the other player characters in general are pretty tough fights because they're so small. And because they have pretty extensive movesets. The bigger the enemy, usually the easier it is to deal with. So the player characters, which are tiny, kind of have... Anyway, I'm going to throw that Cyclone just to burn Oswald. I know, or that Blaze. That potion creates a Pillar of Fire. I know that that's not going to be that great against Oswald because he moves around so much. It's better against a lot more stationary bosses. But it's still worth getting that damage out with kind of what I'm working with here. If I had a Volcano, I would have used it. The enemies are kind of getting in the way this time. Oswald is being a little annoying this run. Hello. See, that was the potion I actually wanted. We're just going to use that immediately. And he'll jump over it. Hi, Oswald is... this is why Oswald can kind of be annoying. Alright, we got him, though. That could have been worse, all things considered. So we've got Spread Shot. It's not super useful. We're going to go upgrade Round Shot again. One thing to make sure with Mercedes is to not go right too fast, or hold right too fast before pressing jump. You'll wind up talking to some NPCs, which loses time. Because, you know, the jump button is the same as the interact button. Anyway, some mini-trolls. Those tiny enemies, like the mini-trolls, are a lot more annoying with other characters than they are with Mercedes. Hi, I just murdered a mini-troll. So, you have a choice of which way to go here. Both will lead to the exit, but this way is better. Yeah, There's a lot with Mercedes that's different. Mercedes is the most different character of the bunch. Anyway, the reason we wanted to go through there, besides it being a shorter room, is because we get this Phozon, which is a skill that is pretty useful for almost every character. It's actually the least useful for Mercedes of everyone, because you can't guarantee that you'll keep chains with her because of her ammo, but it's Assault Eye. Assault Eye deals more damage with the number of foes in a chain. And we're also going to get knockback, which keep away, which I had a little trouble menuing to there. And we also want this bread. We're going to eat the bread at the end of the level. From now on, we're going to be eating before bosses. Anyway, Assault Eye, we can't guarantee that Mercedes will keep chains the way we can with everybody else. But we still get a bit of a damage boost from that, especially because it's on our path anyway. So it's worth getting. And it's worth putting some upgrade points into. So when you upgrade a skill in this game, it doesn't really matter... Oh, heck. It doesn't really matter what the skill is a lot of the time, because you do get a basic bonus to your attack regardless. Hi there. This boss is supposed to be the easiest boss in the game, but we're getting a bit of a run for our money here. Are we gonna have to heal? We're gonna have to heal. Yeah, we're gonna have to heal. Okay. Well, that's a bit of an embarrassment. This boss is the hardest with Mercedes. This boss is downright trivial with all the other characters, but this boss still isn't that bad. There we go. We did get a... So yeah, this level kind of has a unique thing where, believe it or not, despite the fact that you can kind of go multiple ways, most levels are pretty linear in terms of your progression if you know where you're going. There's, you know, there's not multiple ways to the exit, but this level... actually does have a number of ways to the exit. So yeah, here we have just another room of enemies. I'm trying to just keep them lined up. When enemies die is when you get Phozons, so I'm trying to get a few more Phozons here by just killing something. Heck. Okay, so we actually took a death there, which isn't that bad. As you can see, deaths, you literally just you get teleported outside of the room. Mercedes is the easiest character to die with. Surprisingly, you would think the ranged character would be the easiest to avoid death with, but no. She's she kind of is, once they get going, she's gonna die. So yeah, there we go. So not big penalty for death. Which is very fortunate for running this in marathons. Anyway, it's boss time, so we're gonna eat some bread. Gain a couple levels. We're gonna be much stronger now. So, Mercedes Path sure does have a lot of dragons in it. So I'm not using the volcano here, because this boss has resistance to fire. I'm going to throw those, though. I actually really want that whirlwind that's right there, and I'm waiting for an opportunity to go snag it. Whirlwind is one of our better potions. It does a lot. And I'll show that off in just a second, actually. So Whirlwind creates this. So not only does this do amazing things for our chain... Okay. You decided to fly away from my Whirlwind, which is unfortunate. Fortunately, Mercedes can fly. This boss is a lot more of a pain in the ass for a certain ground-based character. So I'm actually getting hit on purpose here, so that I can refill my POW gauge without going back to the ground. Your POW gauge actually does replenish from taking damage, as well as over time and reloading. Anyway, as always, we're going to prioritize round shot. And we're going to get ground attack. And oddly enough, Mercedes' ability gives her a bonus on the ground. Which is a little surprising, kind of with her ability to fly and all. But what this translates to is that we're going to try to... What this means is we're going to actually try to plant ourselves on the ground during most fights. Which is a little not what you'd expect them to give bonuses to Mercedes for. Boy, this run sure does love to give me those cyclones. Cyclones are probably our least useful damaging potion. I say probably, I mean they are our least useful damaging potion. So as you can see, I still can keep up chain, but it's a lot harder, and I do have to make some sacrifices for it. So something you'll notice is, when a boss health bar depletes, the boss will get launched. And we're gonna get some cheese. So this level is really nice to Mercedes. But first thing, and this room is why, and not this room so much as what you get for doing this room. So we'll talk about this once I finish clearing out all of these knights that are about to die. So see, I took a hit there to replenish POW, because it would have been faster than reloading. So this chest has milk in it. Now, you can drink milk for experience, just like other foods, but there's actually a special property to milk. That if you mix it with a potion, it becomes yogurt. And yogurt doubles experience from all food you eat. So hi, this boss. I love this boss. I think it's super fun. It's the pretty standard dissolving slime. It splits into more slimes. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but I love it anyway. It's worse for Cornelius. It's much worse for Cornelius. Because Mercedes can do this. Cyclones are actually quite useful here. It's one of the rare spots where that's true. Once you get them down to their final split here, they do this, and that's where it gets annoying. Because they start to bounce everywhere. If you have a whirlwind, it's actually great. We're just going to try to hit them all with this toxin. So that should poison them. But I kind of forgot they were immune for a second there. There we go. We're going to take this Habaneristo. Habaneristos, these like little Mandragotas, they're used to make potions. And the Habaneristos are probably our best friends because they make the fire potions. And the fire potions are, on average, the best potions. All three of them are very useful. You've seen two of them with Blaze and Volcano. You haven't seen Fire Spirits. Fire Spirits isn't quite as good for other characters as it is for Mercedes. But it's still useful against a handful of bosses. It basically orbits you with fire that does constant damage. Super good for the characters who stand up in their enemies' faces. So here's a fun fact. This room's going to give us some more yogurt. And not only is this room's going to give us enough yogurt, between the two rooms, or give us some more milk, rather. And between the two rooms, we actually have all the milk we'll need for the rest of the game. So we're just going to, right off the bat, we're going to make up a yogurt. Make sure it gets to level 5. And then we're going to eat all of that cheese we've picked up. So we're just going to stuff a bunch of cheese into our face. And that brought us all the way up to level 16. So that's a pretty substantial amount of... that's a pretty substantial amount of experience there. Anyway, it's time for Mercedes' worst boss. This boss sucks. So the boss summons those. They're not a big deal. They'll be dead soon. But what the boss likes to do is teleport. And not only teleport, the boss doesn't like to stick around after teleporting for very long. You... So yeah, normally... So, when he starts casting is when I'm going to want to start throwing potions and whatnot, because... So hopefully we can get a poison and a fire effect up on him, because that'll do bonus damage. We want to get him casting because then he can't teleport away. This actually isn't going too bad as far as this fight goes. This fight can go a lot worse. That was actually a really good fight. That fight can go horrendously bad. Just... So anyway, we're going to level up. We're going to finish leveling up Round Shot. We also have a bunch of yellow ability points, which you get from leveling up. Hi, I didn't need that skill. I accidentally got the wrong skill. But you know what? That doesn't matter. We'll be fine without it. That'll be a good safety skill anyway. Gives us some bonus defense. No, we don't want to go to the world map yet. So we unlocked this last level, but actually we're going to start using it this level. So throughout the game, we've been picking up these puka coins. And we can use them to buy food, some special, better made food. So we're going to be doing that between levels now. So here we have, we're going to hell here. That's hell with one L, by the way. Anyway, we're going to pick up this shine potion here. Now, what's good about that shine potion is it's actually a fairly useless potion in general, but it does have one specific use that we're going to need it for. The game gives us just enough in chests that we don't need to ever make our own. But I'll get to what that's for when it becomes relevant. And we're going to get some fish. Because, like, you always need fish to balance your diet of 3 cheeses and yogurt. Anyway, you're going to notice a theme with bosses in this area. And that's that bosses in this area love teleporting. Heck. So yeah, here we... This is about how this boss goes. This is actually the easiest of the 3 bosses in this area. And we do get to fight all 3. Because all of them are on the critical path. So we're gonna go this way. Once again, you have a choice of which way to go because we need a key to open that door. But this way is faster. Now you might notice So you're probably noticing these ghostly enemies, and I'm trying to turn around before doing that. Okay. Or we don't need the shine. That was weird. I'm supposed to throw a shine there, but the shine would have made them visible, but I just so happened to get lucky in their spawn locations because that torch-bearing NPC also has the effect of a shine. It's usually slow to try to force them to spawn near that NPC, but they just so happened to spawn there this time. So I guess we didn't need it. Anyway, here's teleporty boss number 2. I'm trying to shoot low so I don't hit these fish skeletons. Not because I don't care, not because it would be bad to hit them, but because it's faster to just do damage. So that boss dropped a toxin. All the bosses in this area are immune to poison. So it won't be useful here, but it will be useful next time. Because the next area, all the enemies are immune to fire. So we want to rely on toxins and stuff. So I'll save that for our next area. Anyway, normally I'd pick up the shine in that chest, but we actually have our other shine. So we're going to take a bit of a detour here, and it's one of the only places in the game we take a detour. But we're going to go get a better bangle than the one we're wearing. So if you don't remember from before, what the bangles do is they have a very simple effect. They increase your damage by 10%, and they increase your damage by 10%, and they increase your damage taken by 10%. So you get a 30%. So between all three, you get a 30% increase in damage, which is extremely significant. And makes every fight in the game faster. These are just better variants of that. I think we'll get a 45% increase. Plus, these ones also have an effect where if you're on low health, they'll do more damage. I'm going to be careful about that. Ideally, you want to stay on low health for the rest of the game, but that's very unsafe and doesn't actually save all that much time. So, I only got one there, but see, in this game, whenever you get an item, all the merchants in that area will start selling that item. So because I picked up the Mars Bangle, every merchant in the area started selling Mars Bangles. So I can just easily get 3. Anyway, so here's a small time save that I call masking. Basically, we're going to make our potion and eat in front of this door while it's opening. Now, that'll save a small amount of time because the eating animation takes time. Not so much the potion drinking animation, but the eating animation takes time. So by eating in front of the door, we'll save some time because we would have had to wait for the door to open anyway. So here we have the Queen of the Underworld, Odette. Just like all the other enemies in this area, she teleports a lot. I fired in the wrong direction. Normally she spawns on the right. And I've actually don't think I've seen her spawn on the left and was kind of just assuming she'd spawn on the right. Anyway, we're going to throw some fire at her. Blaze, there's one specific phase of hers which Blaze will be great for. So we'll save the Blaze for then. Stat effects are always as good. We can't use the poison ones because she's immune. Reminder, it's good to take a little damage if there's no... so long as I'm not pushing it. So I'm gonna get hit by that. That'll poison me, which will do some nice damage. That'll make me, you know, take things. The poison is probably enough. I don't want to take any more than that. I'm gonna throw another... This is a good time to throw a volcano because she's moving backwards and we'll take multiple hits from it. We've got another whirlwind, which I can save for the following boss. Is actually very good to have against the next boss. So, okay, so she's gonna do this. So she's gonna turn into a spider. And because... and she's actually gonna stay still for this phase. Okay, I need to heal. I didn't need to heal, but I'm glad I didn't take that risk. So that boss is actually the final boss of the first story mode. And the first boss of the second one. Anyway, we're gonna upgrade first shot now because we have some extra phosons. And we're gonna upgrade Assault High, and that's actually really all we want out of Mercedes' abilities or skills here. So we're just gonna upgrade the base one. That'll give us some bonus PP, which is extremely useful for Mercedes. We're also gonna take Quick Reload. That'll be helpful. So once again, we're going to visit here. Gonna get some steak tartare. And that's going to gain us a nice level in a bit. You can actually, there's actually places in the game where you can, if you've never played this game before, you'll know this if you have. You can actually use ingredients to make similar food. And food not only increases, gives you experience and restores health, but also increases your max HP, which is not a thing you really care about in the speedrun, but is a thing you typically want to do a lot casually. So you usually end up cooking. Cooking is very slow, though. So we don't do it ever in the run at all with any character. We don't need that chest. We actually don't need money anymore. We have everything we want. So here we have, this room is going to have cocoa, and cocoa is going to be our best food item. You don't want to stand near these enemies while they explode, because they'll stun you and do damage, which is a lot easier to do with Mercedes than other characters. But yeah, if you'll notice, we got a blue lantern from one of the fights a minute ago, and we're going to get another blue lantern here. Now, this is going to be a mini-boss fight. Now, something to note about this mini-boss is that I would like to leave this boss with low health. I'd like to leave this boss with extremely low health. The lower my health after this boss fight, the better. And that's not just because of the damage increase from that. So I'm going to fight the boss as normal for the beginning. This boss can create huge pillars of fire, which are a big pain in the ass. They are to be avoided, but if they are normally to be avoided, but if I really need to take the damage, I'll let the boss get one of those pillars down. So I'm going to take a few hits on purpose. So yeah, that big pillar of fire, it's extremely annoying. It makes it hard, but it does do a lot of damage. Anyway, at this point, I want to stop taking damage because it's getting unsafe. Although, actually, now that I've picked up some more Phozons, I want to take a little more. Come on, hit me. Hit me, you coward. Thank you. Okay, so the reason why I did that... Oh, okay, that's fine, yeah. Unfortunately, it gets them back. So the reason we did that is because we have a little shmup room here. Now, shmup rooms are a bit weird in this game. Mercedes is the only character that has them. And, you see, normally they have a boss in them. You gotta beat the boss. The boss will disappear for times, and you have to make it through an auto-scroller. But, here's the fun fact about these. I'm gonna get hit by everything in here until I die. And, rather than, see, rather than bring me back outside the room like it normally does, for those rooms only, it actually just brings you to the point after the room with no reward. So you get to skip the boss fight entirely. I'm gonna get one of these speed belts. Not to wear, but I'm going to make it into a potion later. Hi, that was the wrong exit. So let's, for the last time, let's brew up some milk. Make it into a nice yogurt. Drink the yogurt. Eat all of this cocoa. And we're gonna go into our pretty much the universally worst boss for characters. I would actually argue that the wizard is harder for Mercedes, but, this boss still sucks. Don't get me wrong. So this is Leviathan. Leviathan looks weak and harmless. This tiny little dragon baby that was just born like 2 minutes ago. You have to fight this boss with almost every character, and, it hits like a truck, it has a tiny hitbox, and it, like, flies around in very annoying patterns. Now, the trick to this boss... Oh, thank God, another toxin. Is that after the first... There's 3 phases to it. On the second phase, the boss loses the crown. We want to keep the boss in the second phase as long as possible. Now, with Mercedes, that is the absolute hardest to do of anyone. But if we keep doing damage and getting stuns on the boss here, we can prevent it. We can skip the third phase entirely. The third phase, the boss puts the crown back on and starts doing harder damage, has harder patterns. The boss is going to try to do it right now. We're going to try to stop it. We're too late. So yeah, that was not a great time. We didn't keep the boss in that second phase for too long. We didn't really have much of an opportunity. So now once the boss kind of recovers from this, he's going to start doing bonus damage. He's going to do faster and more annoying attacks. He's going to fly more often. Just everything we don't want. Mercedes is the hardest character to skip this phase with. And I'm trying not to heal because it would be slow, but I am almost dead. Alright, we're good. We're good. I took the risk and it paid off. So we're going to keep upgrading the Cypher. Because we don't really have anything else to upgrade, and it starts giving a lot of attack. We're also going to get charge up. You know, more power recovery is good. Normally we would get... I accidentally mismenued here earlier. We would get one more skill, but we're not really going to be able to do that, and that's fine. It's not a super important skill. One last trip to the Puka Kitchen should give us most of a level. I don't think it's going to level us up, but it will make us ready for like, it will put us at a point where we will level up before the last boss. So here we are. This actually right at the beginning of the first story we see. Gwendolyn's story. So Mercedes' story happens first chronologically. Ooh, that's a good material. Can use that for some good stuff. It's a high level, you know, higher level means better material. I'm also going to take that food. I'm not going to eat it. We're kind of past eating at this point. It's not really worth it anymore, but you can actually mix food with potions and it will make them better potions. So I'm going to take the food. So something you might have noticed is that I'm already on low SP, and the reason for that is that it actually doesn't carry over between, or it actually carries over between stages. So if you're on low SP after a boss, which you usually are, you'll be low on SP at the start of the next stage. So here we have our last heck. I was hoping to get a freeze effect there. No such luck. Here we have our last mini-boss that we're actually going to fight of the run. Pretty standard mini-boss. Just kind of big guy with weapon that likes to be hit and likes to be shot up into the air and kept floating up there until I run out of POW. This is a pretty standard boss type for this game. Like, this is very similar fight to the unicorn we saw earlier. No, you don't. No, oh, heck. Alright, those health potions actually don't heal that much. And I'm going to use this bomb to my advantage, or at least try to. See, enemy projectiles like bombs in this game, if you hit them, they actually become your bombs. So I got stunned out of using one of my attacks there. Kinda sucks, but not a big deal. So here I'm going to once again try to do this. I'm going, or not not this room. I'm going to once again try to take damage in this room. Because you guessed it, we have another one of those shmup segments afterwards. So I'm going to want to try to take damage. Unfortunately, this isn't really a boss, so it's actually kind of hard to take damage and be fast about it. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really get to take any damage there. That happens. But that's okay. This one's a little... You can take damage a little faster than in the other one. So we'll go get our damage. So, a little fun fact about this upcoming room. I'm not sure if we'll actually get up to be able... I'm not even sure if we'll get to see the boss in this room, because if we do it right, we won't, but considering how high health we're at, we probably will. The boss in here is a giant blimp, and this boss is the most annoying mini-boss for pretty much every character in the game. It shoots a million things, it lags the game, which actually doesn't matter because we use IGT. It just puts stuff everywhere. So yeah, oh, we might actually get to skip the boss. But for Mercedes, who wants to die to the boss, not a big deal. Okay, there it is. We just barely saw it. We're gonna heal up immediately, because we're on absurdly low health. So fun fact, you can do that little sweep attack without ammo. It just isn't really conductive to doing anything with. So both of these rooms lead to the same room, as you might be able to tell on the map. It's fine to go through either one. Usually you just go through whichever one you're closer to, which is usually this one. Anyway, I want to be a little careful with PP here. That's just because, I'm not going to get a chance to recover it, and we do have the boss coming up after this. So I would like to have full PP. That being said, enemies do drop phosons when they die, which recovers some PP, so I would like to use some because it's faster to use it than to not use it, especially for Mercedes. So here we are, we're actually right up to our last boss in the game. I'm going to quickly just brew up some more potions. So something that's very good here that I can make is an overload potion. No, not that, I want that. I'm going to put some food in it to make it better. If you put too much food into one potion, it does turn into a healing potion. So you do have to be careful there. I'm going to make a fire spirits, because those are also really good. And I think I should... Let's make one more overload, just for good measure. This one will be a little weaker. Overloads raw boost your damage. They're good. They're very useful against some of the late game bosses, especially with how underleveled we are. So yeah, we're going to instantly chug an overload. We're going to instantly chug a fire spirits. So this boss is, super difficult. It's not infeasible that this might take 2 tries. This boss can go very poorly. Especially when you're hugging the boss to do more damage. Now, I do have the ability to turn some of my potions into, healing potions if I need to. This boss has 3 phases. We can actually... It's not too hard. If we're lucky, we'll only see the first one. The third phase is the same as the first one. Basically, at a certain point, Odin will try to take out a... We'll try to take out his weapon, which is this big sphere. Got it? Odin sphere? And he'll start doing ridiculous damage and have ridiculous reach. I won't actually make it harder to damage him. It'll just make it harder to stay alive. Okay, we're going to turn a potion into... So we're going to throw a volcano. Then we're going to turn one of these cyclones into a healing potion. Because we're kind of... I don't want to... I would prefer not to die. It's actually looking like we're on pretty good track to skip that third phase. Which is very good. Oh, heck, you ran away. I was kind of hoping you would stay there. So that you... So, okay, so there it is. So time's coming up in like 2 seconds, and I probably should have given a warning, but I forgot. Time coming up when the health bar empties. Time. There's actually no formalized RTA stop point, but... Alright, so yeah, thanks for watching my run. You know, stay tuned for all of the other great runs. And remember to donate. I'm just gonna hold Mercedes doing this.